What's up, guys? Today we're going to talk about diet customization and how you can make your own diet, all right? Get a lot of questions about people looking for black and white answers with how many calories should I eat a day? What should my carbs be? What should my proteins be? What should my fats be? Yada, yada, yada. Listen, there is no black and white. It's a lot of gray. And you have to adjust the nutrition program to tailor to you. And how you do that is you find the base information and a consistent diet that you follow, and you make changes over time based on your body's feedback, okay? So I'm gonna show you just how to do that. I'm gonna keep this real simple and as little words as possible because I know I talk a lot. So I broke it into 5 steps. Goal 1 is to find your total number of calories per day. Now, how do you do that? There's tons of apps. There's the Harris-Benedict formula. There's tons of different equations where you can find your estimated calories that you need per day. Is that the right amount of calories you're gonna need? I don't know, but you're gonna find out in a few days when you get your body's biofeedback markers after being consistent with a particular plan. It's the only way to really know, okay? So once you find your goal calories, then the next step is to break it down into macro percents. Now, balance meaning don't be one that's gonna cut carbs to 0, don't be one that's gonna cut fats to 0, and you're gonna add tons of carbs. Have a balanced macro breakdown. What does that mean? 40, 40, 20, 50, 30, 20. So you have your protein, your carbs, your protein, and your fat. So that way you can have a balance of macronutrients, which is important to have, okay? Just don't be extremes. Don't think that you're gonna reinvent the wheel by doing something extreme, getting some sort of super physiological response on eating a specific way. It's not gonna happen, okay? Plus, you wanna look at sustainability. So once you find your macro percent from your total calories, obviously, 0.50 times your whatever calories will give you 50% of those calories, your calorie total. And then what you'll do is once you find the 50% of that caloric total, then you divide by 4 to get your carbohydrate grams from those calories. If you're not following me, there's tons of information on the internet on exactly how to find your macros from your calories. So that way you can pick up on there. So I won't go into too much more detail with that. So once you find your macro percents from the calories, then you'll divide it 9 to get your fat grams, 4 to get your protein grams, 4 to get your carb grams. Then you'll have your total number of fats, proteins, and carbs per meal. Once you have that, then you got to determine your number of meals per day. Number of meals per day is really determined by how many calories you need, your ability to digest food. So people who have trouble digesting might need smaller feeds. Somebody who doesn't care, has no more time, could do larger meals and less frequent meals. And then individuals where they're awake for a long time, say if they're awake for 18, 20 hours, they have a long shift, then you might need 5 or 6 meals, all right? On the opposite thing you gotta understand is, what's the best number of meals per day? You can't determine that. That's based on the individual. So for example, if you have a female who's 5 feet and they're 90 pounds, they're not eating 6 meals a day because each meal is gonna be practically a snack. And then the opposite, if you have a guy who's like 6'7" and is professional strongman, he's 400 pounds, he's not gonna be eating 4 meals a day either because the meals are gonna be too big to finish. So once you find a number of meals per day, you'll equally break down your macros into the meals. So right here in column 1, that's an example, 45 carbs, 45 protein, 10 grams of fat, equally on all 5 feeds, okay? Number 4, making changes in 4-day increments. So once you do all this and you find your breakdown, make your changes in 4-day increments only. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday comes, and then you'll make a change if you need to make a change. Now, obviously that change will be based on your goal and what you're trying to achieve. So troubleshooting in that 5th day and what to change and what you're assessing will be digestion. Do you feel bloated? Do you feel gassy? Weight change, did you go up in weight, down in weight? Obviously depending on your goal. Performance, did you feel sluggish? Did you feel tired? Did you feel stronger? Did your pumps get bigger, better? Did you feel good? And honestly, 4 days might not be enough time. You might need to go another 4 days to really determine, especially if your calories are kind of really close to what you need to maintain. You might need more data, more time on the plan. So don't think you need to change something every 4 days. So that's performance. So those are your 5 steps, all right? Now we're gonna talk about a little bit about diet progression, okay? Because individuality in nutrition is all about progression. It's based on your body's change over time, nobody else's, okay? So here at column 1, we have our base, which I always tell people is break everything down very evenly in every meal. It's easy, it's simple, it's easily trackable, it's versatile. Say if you missed a chicken meal and that's supposed to be meal 2, you can easily just swap meals in any direction of any foods, and you can be creative, and it's very simple to prepare and prep food this way too, when things are equal. When things are all drastic, you're like, oh crap, wait, meal 2 is supposed to be 100 carbs, meal 4 is supposed to be 30 carbs, and then it can get a little more work, a little more hectic. Keep it simple. Simple works. All right, so first problem. All right, so say if I ran this program and I ran this diet for 4 days, and I get to the 5th day and I'm like, man, like I feel so full, and you know, I'm not really that hungry. I'm not really looking forward to my meals, and I actually kind of prefer more carbohydrates, and I actually started to run. So running does require more carbohydrates and glycogen burning as energy. So I think I'm going to change my macros, and I'm going to adjust. I'm going to reduce the fat, which is going to accelerate gastric emptying, and I'm going to increase the carbohydrates. And those carbohydrate increase will help fuel me, 1. 2, I love carbs, so that will psychologically give me more of a break, and I'll be roughly the same amount of calories. Guys, I like to make changes on plans in 15-gram increments or 5-gram increments for fats. 15-gram increment changes for carbs, 5 for fats. Are they equal in calories? No. But for example, it doesn't make a huge difference. I'll tell you why. Because dropping 5 grams of fat per meal from this column to this column and increasing 15 grams of carbs from this column to this column is only a surplus of 75 calories total for the day over 5 meals. 75 calories is not enough to shake a stick at. It's not to worry, okay? That's how I like to do it, all right? This is not talking about contest prep, by the way, all right? This is just talking about all the weekend warriors, all the guys who love fitness and nutrition, who are trying to better themselves and understand it and not get so confused with all this social media crap, all right? So that's what we did there. That's a change, all right? So meal, column 3. So as you can see here on meal 3, I wrote pre, as in identifying it as a pre-workout meal. You know, pre-workout meal doesn't need to be meal 3, okay? It just doesn't. It can be any meal, obviously you can move it around. I just did it for the board's sake that meal 3 is gonna be our pre-workout, meal 4 will be our post-workout, all right? All right, so this column, so what I did here was, I said to myself, I got to the day, I'm like, you know, I'm getting a little hungry when I train, and I feel like I might be losing energy, and you know, I've been reading a lot about how it's better to have a little more carbs before I train and a little more carbs after I train, and I kind of want to lower the fat intake so I can accelerate digestion in the pre-workout meal so it can be more usable, and I want to accelerate digestion after so I can help recover, restore glycogen, all right? So what I did here was I kept meal 1, meal 2 the same, and then all I did was change the calories, lower the fat, increase the carbs in meal 3, lower the fat, increase the carbs in meal 4, and that way I can have a little faster gastric emptying with lowering the fat and increasing the carbs. And then meal 4, those carbs can help restore the glycogen that I lost, and the fat being lower can not, you know, not slow down that glycemic response that I actually want. I want that carbohydrate to digest fast with a lower fat intake. Again, guys, I don't like getting crazy with, like, you know, say if, you know, on the contrary, people are like, oh, you need like 300 carbs post-workout. I don't like that. I don't like spiking insulin like that, because you spike insulin, you're gonna go way up, and then you're gonna crash, you're gonna get tired, you're gonna get hungry, and you're not absorbing 300 carbs. A lot of that's gonna store as fat. That's just being extreme. But I don't like to get too extreme, okay? Extreme is not the way to go. I don't know why everybody keeps jumping on these fad diets and being extreme with the nutrition, when nutrition can be actually very slow and progressive over time. I mean, who knows? 4 months from now, these carbs could be 100 and these could be lower, or you could be in a whole different macro breakdown by then, all right? And then here in meal 5, this is an example of how you can change meal 5 and for a specific purpose. So say if you're waking up in the middle of the night and you're like, oh, I'm getting hungry in the middle of the night, and you know, and I just get hungry, and or have you not. So what I did here was I dropped the carbs, increased the fat. So the fat's gonna delay that gastric empty, keep me fuller for longer, and I lowered the carbohydrate intake because clearly I'm gonna be going to sleep. I'm not gonna be needing those carbs as energy, exercising or fueling myself blood glucose-wise through the day, because I'm gonna be sleeping, all right? And then there's an argument too, large carbohydrate meals before bed can hinder REM sleep, but that's really large meals. That's not gonna be so much meals where it's close to your baseline calories, or say it's 300 or 400 calories above your normal caloric intake for the day, you're not really gonna do that. Now, if you're eating like 300 or 400 carbs prior to sleep, or you're eating till you're stuffed or binge eating, that's a different story, okay? And that's an example how you can change the macros there to fit your purpose, okay? If you need to. But guys, again, all right, in closing, keep it simple. Base the program on your changes. Stop looking for black and white answers. There's a large gray area. And don't change things if you don't need to. I mean, if you're sleeping fine, you're performing fine, you feel great, and you're progressing, don't change anything to try to make it better, or I call it get greedy, where you're like, I want more, I want faster results. Then you start changing things, and then it starts to spiral, and then you start to get diminishing returns, and then you start to get poor results because you kept changing things too much. Ride them out, be patient. At the end of the day, these numbers, changing these numbers drastically, it will make a difference, negative or positive, but I mean, you're not gonna trick your body to have a super physiological response eating a specific way. It's not gonna happen. So, a meal plan should be progressively, slowly over time, based on your response, and keep it simple, it works. Guys, if you have any questions, and you want me to get into more depth on anything specific with formulating meal plans, or if you want me to talk about more about pre and post-workout nutrition and anything like that, please let me know. Comment.